Today we're going to be talking about being the light of the world and what Jesus has to say about that. But this takes me back to a camp I was preaching at. It's called Alpine Camp. Camp Alpine is up in a little town called Blue Jay up in the Big Bear Mountains over by Big Bear. Beautiful camp, beautiful scenery, and amazing food. Oh my, the food was just, it would change your life. It was really awesome. Well, during one of the night sessions, I had planned to use as an illustration to turn the lights off to the whole chapel. So before that, I planned with the camp director, the staff, and the maintenance team, and asked them that during a certain time of my sermon, if they could shut off the power and lights onto the chapel, and actually the lights that are on the light poles that are going down the road. There was a steep road, a dirt road that you had to walk up and down, back and forth to get to chapel, and it would take you back down to level ground where you had your cabins, you had your fields, you had your, the lodging and eating and stuff like that down there. So I had that set. So that time came during my sermon where the lights came off. And at first kids were panicking, some kids thought it was funny, so I just waited a little bit. And at that point, of course I didn't have a microphone, so I started shouting and letting them know, hey guys, as this camp speaker, I met with camp director, and they let me know that in case of an emergency, in case the power ever went out, here's a protocol, this is what I could do and I could say, because the staff is getting ready outside. So right away I told them, actually I didn't tell them, I asked them, how many of you have brought your flashlights? Because it was a night service. Well, some of the kids turned lights on, raise their hands and turn lights on. And it was sad because that chapel had about 500 students, and maybe under 100 actually had brought their flashlights. So I told them, okay, this is what we're gonna do. All of you have your flashlights. You guys are gonna go and head down to the camp. Well, the kids that didn't have flashlights were panicking. I'm hearing these kids like, well, am I gonna get down there? What's going on? Can I follow these kids with their lights? Just going on and on and on. And I let them stir up a little bit, get a little bit scared. Well, then the lights came back on. And at that point, let the students know, hey, there was no outage. This is part of an illustration of what I wanted to use to you guys. You notice all of you who had no flashlights, you were panicking, you had no clue how you're gonna get from point A to point B. But yet the students with the flashlights, even though kind of nervous, knew that they would be able to get down there because they had the light to guide them. So we're gonna be talking about the importance of light and the influence and impact it has on others. So I'm gonna be reading out of the book of Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. And here Jesus says this, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. And if it gives light to all who are in the house, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So here Jesus is explaining the importance of being that light, in a few different ways. Now, when we look at light itself boldly announces its presence. It's like, hello, I'm here. And because of that powerful presence, it dispels the darkness and gets rid of it. Now, God's desire for us is to be filled with his light, to be filled with his presence, okay? He wants us to shine as a bright testimony of his presence, his power, his love, his guidance. The list goes on, in our lives, so that the darkness in the lives of others that are around us, that are surrounded around us, that the darkness will be dispelled from their lives through the power of God and through his glory. That's what God desires for us as his children. Now, the only remedy for light is darkness, okay? If the world becomes dark, it's not the problem with the darkness. It's actually the problem with the light. And what I'm saying is that when the world becomes dark, it means that we as Christians need to step it up. We need to step it up and bring that light in even more. Jesus said to his disciples that they should be the light of the world, and he said the same thing to us. So we need to make a difference, and we can make a difference by becoming that light. The question is, are we willing to put what we need to put in to become that light, to grow closer to God, to spend more time with him, to surrender a lot of our challenges and issues to him? Now, this pandemic has brought darkness in the form of fear, anger, frustration, doubt, hopelessness, even division into this world. And there's so many other ways and forms that this pandemic has brought in. And as children of God, we should and we need to be the light of God's presence into this world. We need to be that light. We need to be that presence. We need to shine the life of others, especially as a time like now. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions. Parents, as parents, do your children see God's light in you? Do they see the light of God in you? Okay, and again, I'm not judging. I'm just asking real hard questions, things that we really need to think about. Next question is, for those of you that are working, outside the house, do your coworkers, recognize God's light in you? Can they recognize it? Can they distinguish it? Does the presence of God radiate and shine from your home into your community, into your neighbors, into your street where you live? Okay. Does the presence of God brilliantly shine in your life through social media? And again, these are things that we need to take inventory of and really, really sit back and ask ourselves. Because let's face it, God needs an army of people to shine in this time today, to lift people up, to draw them closer to Him, to point them to Him, for individuals to give their lives to Christ, for individuals to rededicate their lives to Christ, for individuals to rebuild their faith, that those that are weak, that need to be strong. Again, it takes teamwork to strengthen numbers, my friends. Now, what can we all do this week to shine a little bit more? What can we all do this week to be a little bit more brighter, okay? And as adults, we know what we need to do. Even some of you younger ones out there, you know what we need to do. It's all about spending time with God, spending time with Him, investing our time with Him, growing closer to Him, falling in love more with God. Because when we fall in love more with God, we're going to fall more in love with those who need Him and those around us. That's just the way it works, and that desire that God desires us to have and wants us to have, to be that light and to be witnesses, to be examples to others, is going to take place. It's going to radiate in all we do. Now, if you remember at the beginning of this, I was talking about that little illustration I did to that camp. And remember, there were a bunch of junior hires, so they were panicking about the whole flashlights and turn the power off. It's funny because after that, for the rest of the night services, just about all the kids were bringing flashlights, just in case, and again, not all of them were, but majority of them were. But what was really neat is that a lot of these kids that were panicking that night, by the end of the week, they'd given their life to Jesus Christ. Why? Because they realized that they were living their life in the darkness, and they realized that they needed that light. Little did I know that that little illustration I used that night was actually going to impact these kids, especially junior hires. I didn't know that it was really going to connect with them that powerful, to where that was one of the things that caused them to really want to make the decision to give their life to the Lord so He can light their path. Again, I hope this encouraged you. I hope that God is your light and you are letting Him shine in you. And I love you guys, miss you guys. Be safe and have a safe week, and we'll talk to you later, all right? God bless. Bye.